Hi, this is Shubham Tiwari.
And hi, this is Nilangan.
And welcome to the Salespanel podcasts, where we bring to you the journeys and playbooks of thought leaders from the B2B world. Tune in for all things on data-driven marketing, product-led growth, and customer intelligence. Moving on with today's episode, our guest today is a seasoned marketing leader with over 12 years of experience across B2C and enterprise SaaS to deliver on brand and growth. He's the head of marketing at Verloop.io and is one of the co-founders of S11S community of SaaS leaders. Siddharth Sharma, welcome to Salespanel.
Hey, thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Nilangan. I'm excited to be here.
We are grateful to have you. So you started as an engineer. How did you become a marketer? Please tell us about the journey.
All right. The funny part is, the funny story is in India, right? If you're confused, you do engineering. If you're still confused, you do management. And even if when you take up the management course, and if you're still confused, you do marketing, right? So, a little seriously, when I did my engineering, I wanted to be a developer. I actually was the database admin for a large for a telecom project in the UK. And then I, started developing front-end technologies using Silverlight, right? I did a lot of applications using Silverlight. With Infosys, you know how it is. You're on one project one day and the other project the other week.
Yeah.
Right. So I moved to a pre-sales project where I was leading the pre-sales, got really interested in that. And then my mentor actually told me, hey, why don't you actually go and, get yourself a management degree, right? I mean, you look very interested in this. You look more interested in this than you looked interested in, when you were doing your database. So I was like, okay, why not? So I did a 1-year course. When I was doing that course, I was exposed to a lot of good professors, not only from India, but outside India. Professors of economics, professors of marketing, finance, strategy, right? I started loving marketing a lot, given the fact that it has a bit of art to it and a bit of science to it as well. And for a very long time, I've always been wondering, how can I add my technology, knowledge, what I gained, right? Or the technology skills that I gained, right? To the marketing world, right? And I think that's what got me interested into all this.
Right.
Okay, so just one very honest question. So you did your MBA, and so now you are in marketing. So how much do you think that a degree affected? Like that degree helped in your marketing, or just you needed to learn everything from the internet, like many people do?
So marketing. A lot of things, like, you're there on the internet, right? You can actually basically pick up any skill, right? Yeah. What the degree gave me was a sort of like a theoretical framework to build these skills on, right? Understanding the 4 Ps, right? That theoretical framework, understanding Porter's 5 forces, understanding Maslow's law of hierarchy, all these theoretical frameworks, it's very difficult to understand it when you're reading on the internet, because you're like, okay, hey, let me get to the good part faster, right? You're trying to move fast, right? So you don't basically look at theoretical frameworks which have already been there. Right? And when we look at marketing today, a lot is digital in nature, right? However, the frameworks remain the same, right? You are marketing a product or a service, right? Mm-hmm. While the medium has changed, initially it was delivered offline on, through either billboards, TV, radio, paper, print, whatever, right? Magazines, whatever, right? Today it is delivered through online, right? But the underlying concept is the same, that you are trying to bring out the value of your product in the mind space of your consumer, right? So I think my 1-year course helped me a lot in understanding that theoretical frameworks, in understanding those frameworks, and also gave me a great network of folks who I can basically, even today, I can bank on and, call them up and ask them, hey, I'm facing this kind of an issue. What do you think, or what do you suggest? And, not only on marketing, but also on a variety of career topics. So that I would say is a very big plus.
Yeah. I didn't do MBA, but I read this book called The Personal MBA. It's not obviously the same thing, but yes, it kind of helps a little.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps a little.
Yeah.
So moving on, like, you have headed marketing operations in several companies, and we understand that you started your career in B2C and then you moved to B2B. So can you share your journey and like key challenges while moving from B2C to B2B?
Sure. So marketing operation is my, what I would say is my birth ground for marketing, right? when I took up the mantle, of marketing, I started doing marketing, right? As a role, I was given marketing automation. At that time, it was not called marketing automation. It was just called marketing, right? It was just called email marketing. And there was no fancy word like markups and all that time, right? So we were just like, okay. It was kind of fun because I knew technology. So I knew how to edit landing pages. I knew how to edit emails. I could understand the HTML code, which is there, the CSS, which is there on the pages. I could make those changes on the go, right? So, definitely an added skill that helped me a lot. Moving, when I moved from a B2C, so I was with the edtech industry for a very long time. When I moved from the B2C world to the B2B world, right, it reminded me of how the B2C world was like 8 to 7 years back, right? What in 2017, what B2B SaaS was undergoing was the same thing what in 2007, 2008, the B2C world had undergone. Like there was an influx of capital, and there were a lot of folks who were trying to figure out how is the best way to push this product onto the users, how to tell them, how to break through the noise clutter. So wild west kind of a scenario. B2B SaaS, and that's where I love myself, right? Being in chaos, pushing myself.
So yes, also I think maybe you are working with less volume, so doing interesting things.
Yeah, so the changes, one of the larger changes that I've actually felt, and this I did not perceive to be a big change, but it actually was a big change, was looking at the feedback cycle. Right, in B2C, if I'm launching a campaign today, right, I get a feedback at the max within 48 hours.
Yeah.
Right. That is the maximum time a feedback cycle should take me. Right. But in B2B, the maximum time is depends upon the complexity of the product. Right. If it's a high touch sales or a low touch, if it's a low touch sale, you can almost come into a B2C kind of a perspective. For example, if you're a Ahrefs or you are, if you do need to sell, like if you're a drift, right, come in, swipe your card, start using. Right. So that gets you almost B2C style. But if you're looking at a high touch product like Verloop.io, Clever Tap, right? The cycle is basically long, right? So it was kind of a learning curve for me to actually be slightly more patient, to understand that hey, campaigns and your strategy will take time. You have to wait for the results. You cannot make immediate changes. So that was a big learning. Second was obviously, like you said, the volume. Yeah. Right. There I was dealing with a database of, say, at the bare minimum, at least 5 to 10 lakhs. Right. Here I'm dealing with a database of less than 20,000, 30,000.
Yeah.
But the average. So the other way to think of it is the average value from each customer. Right. In a B2C, the average value from each customer is very low. Yeah. But here the average value of a customer is very high. Plus, in B2C, most of the times it's transactional. It's not a strategic. It's not it's not, you're not looking at it from, okay, hey, if I buy today, I'm going to keep buying it every time.
Right.
In a SaaS kind of a world, it's almost like you are not doing a transaction. You're starting a relationship when you sign on.
Right.
So very, very different thought processes, very different the way you even communicate this, write the emails, even the way you communicate about, how you get a demo, right? So very, very different. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like in B2C, everybody tries to think their customers in a holistic view, but in B2B, like since you are working with high, especially like in the high tier, like sales focused trust, and like since you're working in high ACV with high ACV deals, there is much more to work with for a limited number of customers. So that that might be more interesting for people like you.
Yeah. So it kind of gets super interesting when you are looking at, okay, hey, how do we get this target audience to care about our product? Right. Then you're not looking at channel specific. You're not looking at how do I expand. You're looking at how do I get to this customer? How do I get to this audience? Right. And that is opening that kind of question to your mindset, right, is I felt it very nice.
Cool. So Shubham.
Yeah. So one thing we find common, in your career is that you have always stuck to marketing automation. Your own agency, working with marketing automation products, doing guest lectures at IIM on the subject. So can you tell us why have you, particularly been invested in this one particular vertical for such a long period of time?
So, marketing operations, like I said before, right, started off because I loved marketing and basically I had a technology background, right? And I started playing around with landing pages, emails, Then when automation tools came, started playing around with them, looking at how events are captured. Then as and when the tools started coming, right? Before you only had to accessible. You had GA, right? Then you started getting new tools like Segment. The Indian market started getting tools like Segment, Mixpanel. You were able to buy those.
Salespanel.
So yeah, and then you started looking at events. Started looking at, okay, hey, how do I configure these events? How do I build these events to basically get me more data? Can I connect my analytics? Can I connect my tools to my CRM and basically make a custom audience? Right? What I want to make a custom audience of folks who have basically scrolled 20% of my website. Right? Or somebody who has scrolled down to 80% of my demo page but not submitted my form. Right? Yeah. Making all these lists, right? Is it possible? How do I give my salesperson the most up-to-date signal that, okay, hey, this person is checking out my white paper. Why don't you talk to him tomorrow? Right? All these kind of signals, right? This kind of got me interested and basically playing around with tools, right? And then that is why I think, I was lucky enough to hold those positions at various organizations. And I think my entire love for marketing operations come from there. And to be very honest, I also feel that, once you reach a certain scale, right, marketing operations and brand marketing are the only two channels where you can actually, develop a moat, right?
Right.
Your efficiency in doing marketing and your communication is the only difference that's between you and a similar brand in a saturated market, in a matured market, right? If you are able to, for example, if you are getting a demo request, right, and if you are able to source the right person to talk to that customer or prospect, whether it be an SDR, whether it be an AE, whether it be somebody who's a specialist, right, as quickly as possible, versus a competitor who takes probably 2 days to figure out, okay, hey, I'm calling you, I'm giving you a call, olden days, right? True. That's your make or break.
Yeah. So I think we are also seeing, like, with Google Analytics, Google is shutting down Universal Analytics and they're now switching to GA4, which is basically doing customer touch point tracking, the whole thing, and then just enriching experiences across the way. Like you said, we are also kind of doing the same thing with Salespanel. Shameless plug here, like qualifying visitors from your website and then retargeting qualified visitors, or just like you said, if somebody has watched a full webinar or if somebody has watched half, and doing things like that. So yes, I think this is something that's going to be important going forward, especially now with Google shutting down Universal Analytics and going towards cookieless customer journey tracking with predictable models.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the middle of your career, this is a personal question. So you had taken a dive at building your own company, a marketing agency. So but you let it go within a year when it failed to break even. I think I saw you talking about it somewhere. So while this had been a setback, it didn't actually stop you, right? You went on to head marketing in several leading companies. So my question is that at some point in life, many leaders have this urge to build their own venture, right? And at your own venture, you spend time, you spend resources, money, and everything, and there's naturally a sunk cost fallacy involved. Like, people don't like losing money or times, and they refuse to let go to avoid losses, even if the future doesn't look very bright. So for your case, how did you realize that it was time to let go and move on? And like, how did you go from there leading to leading marketing without losing your footing?
Okay. I think one of my friends, good dear friend Shafiq, right? He has better words for the way I describe it. You always set out your KPIs, or you always set out the numbers that you want to achieve, right? And you hold yourself responsible for them. It doesn't matter whether you achieve them or not, but you're cognizant of you have to be cognizant of the fact that you have either failed to achieve those numbers, or you have been successful in achieving those numbers. Right. So he has a nice term for it. It's called putting yourself, holding yourself. He called it the accountability matrix, right? You will end up somewhere. You either are completely accountable to yourself, or you're not accountable to yourself completely, right? Building on from that, talking about that more, right? So when I started this agency with my friend, we were looking at, okay, hey, can we basically build our from our entire venture, can we start building, or we start getting in the cash flow by the end of 8 to 9 months, right? Or have prediction by the end of 8 to 9 months that we will get a cash flow that was equivalent to our salaries that when we started off. Right. I don't come from a business background. I don't have a huge pot of gold behind me when I'm working. There's no investment behind me, right? So we were always looking at, okay, I had like 7-8 months of savings, right? And I was ready to invest my time and effort in this, right? So obviously on the side, we picked up consultancies, we picked up freelance projects on the side, and we hustled a lot. But even at the end of 8 months, right, we were not able to foresee a prediction. We were not able to see visibility of, us getting that kind of a revenue even in the next 6 to 8 months, right? So, it was a fair call. My friend and I both decided, okay, hey, right now might not be the best time for us to do this. We had both had families. We were both settling down. It maybe not the best time to decide, let's not go ahead with this. And that's how we wound up the entire piece on Email Guru, right? And then, in terms of like sunk cost and time cost, I think I learned a lot from that. I relished that time a lot. I learned a lot. I was happy. I was learning. I was dealing with, I think, around 20 businesses all at once. Before that, I worked in the B2C sector. So everything was related to revenue. Right. That was an eye opener where I felt that, okay, hey, not everything is related to revenue. Right? Different brands across different continents have very different outlook. Right. So when I was working with this brand in Australia, they had a very different outlook. They just want okay, how do I get the maximum distribution? While I was working with this brand in Europe, and they were looking at how do I get the maximum engagement? And while I was working with this brand in the US, and they were like, hey, how do I ensure that none of these, whatever I'm sending is right the first time? They didn't want to be fast. They want to be right the first time. So very, very different, very different business objectives, very, very different, the business outlook as well, right? And, understanding that and forcing yourself to unlearn what you have learned, right? Because for me, everything was related to revenue. Okay, hey, I did this, I got to this much revenue, my ROI is X, right? So, and therefore, you should be happy with me, right? But businesses across the world are very different. So talking to them, understanding their business, beautiful learning. And I think, I do not even regret a single bit of that time. Very, very helpful for me in my career. And anybody who's out there, like you said, the sunk time and sunk cost of it. Obviously, there is a sunk cost to it, right? And you can either regret it all the time. You say, hey, I've invested. Or you can basically get up and move and say, okay, hey, I invested. I tried my best. It didn't work out. It's okay. Now it's a time to take a call. Give yourself enough time to succeed. At least get visibility into your success. If you're not still able to do it, then it's your call, right? If you still want to push hard, if you feel that, hey, I can push hard and get it done, it's your call.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think what I meant by sunk cost is basically some people are naturally, psychologically not able to let go. What you said about KPIs and hitting KPIs, that made perfect sense. And fun fact, we had Shafiq last week. I think we haven't released the podcast. Plug. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We had Shafiq. I think he recommended you, isn't it?
Oh, nice.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Shafiq.
Right. So I think he would like that. I would just let him know that you talked about him on the show. Okay. So moving on, we want to talk about RevOps and revenue marketing, since these are the hottest topics that our audiences want to hear about. So first question, how do marketing and sales teams stay aligned while connecting their efforts to revenue, and how can marketing automation help?
So I get this question a lot, right? Like, how can sales and marketing get aligned? I don't know why they're not aligned from the beginning. So I don't know why the misalignment exists, right? Misalignment probably happens when you're not having a common goal. When you have a common goal, when that goal is clearly decided and you both sign off on a goal, right? There is alignment. There is alignment right there, right? And as a marketer and as a salesperson, both of you have to ensure that, hey, whatever data we are hearing from outside in the world, like salespeople are basically hearing data every single day, right? Marketers are not, right? To be very honest, in a B2B sales scenario, high touch model, marketers are not hearing the data on a daily basis. It is difficult. Salespeople are hearing it right from the horse's mouth, right from the ICP. That person is basically telling them, hey, I don't want your product, or I don't think so. Your product cuts the bill. Your product is not doing what it promises to do, etc., right? They're hearing it. They're also hearing good parts. They're hearing the bad. They're hearing the ugly, right? Now, the alignment is that the sales need to honestly bring this feedback into the system. The marketing honesty is that, okay, I'm going to basically tell you what I'm going to do with that feedback, and how am I going to get you these people, right? If you can trust each other so much, right? I think there is no misalignment at all. I think the misalignment happens when there is no trust. When you are not sure, okay, hey, I don't know what the salesperson will do, or the salesperson is like, hey, I don't know what marketing is doing, I don't want to get concerned, right? So that's the misalignment that happens. But apart from that, I mean, wherever I've worked, I've seen great alignment. I mean, I can tell you my mentor, Almitra, she and our sales head who was there, Kuldeep, they had fantastic alignment. I mean, not that, Almitra used to go and run everything by Kuldeep, and Kuldeep used to go and run everything by Almitra, but that fantastic alignment. Kuldeep was 100% sure about what Almitra is going to run campaigns for him. Right? And Almitra was 100% sure that, hey, if I'm going to give him great opportunity, this person is not going to tank on them. Right? So, I mean, it was a beautiful alignment. Right? And that's what I've taken back from everyone. Right? I mean, most of my sales folks that I know are good friends of mine. Having them. Marketing automation, I mean, like I said, data is the place that connects both of them, right? I mean, how do you get feedback from the clients to the system, right? And how do you make sure that the salespeople know exactly how a customer has gone through before they've even talked to them, right? What are the pages that you visited, everything, right? So this is where technology comes into the picture, right? It can help the salesperson know exactly what has happened. Oh, this person signed up on a LinkedIn lead form, then he came and attended a webinar, then he downloaded an ebook, he visited the pricing page twice, he's looked at a demo page once, and he's basically looked at 2 blogs. He's looked at these product features, and this is who this person is. And then the salesperson, when they talk to him, all that information gets logged. And maybe it's a good call. And the salesperson says, okay, hey, while this was a great call, he was not a stakeholder. He was a gatekeeper. He's introducing us to the stakeholder next. So the marketing can take feedback and say, okay, hey, this kind of a designation in this industry is probably a gatekeeper. If we see more such data points like this, right? So I mean, automation basically helps you resolve a lot of things which would otherwise not get communicated to. I mean, because at scale, it is difficult to communicate. You can't say that, okay, hey, this lead came in through LinkedIn. You can't do it. I mean, it's impossible. So at a scale, I think automation helps marketing and sales talk to each other on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah, I think around 2020, when during the pandemic, we had some time on our plate. So I just wanted to write an ebook. We had to write an ebook on this topic. And when I was researching, I found that the alignment is mainly from either miscommunication in the sense let's say a lead has already unsubscribed, or but sales team doesn't know, or maybe the marketing team has passed the data, but they don't care what happens next. Right?
In both the cases, I would say that the data what is there has to be communicated very clearly.
Right.
Right. I mean, if you're not communicating that data, right? I mean, somebody is unsubscribed, they don't want to talk to you. Right. And if you're having a salesperson call them and say, hey, you signed up for a demo, I mean, you know what reaction you're going to get.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, that's how technology, all marketing ops technology helps us do that.
Yeah, right. So, plus with alignment, we are also seeing this new need for attribution to revenue, like marketing and sales. Sales can always attribute to revenue. Marketing, now there's a need for marketers as well to attribute to revenue. So how can a marketing leader implement this system for their company? And if there's a misalignment,
in attribution?
Yeah, right.
So, attribution helps you understand what are the touch points of a prospect who turned into a customer or who didn't turn into a customer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is as important to understand the closed won journey as important it is to understand the closed loss journey as well. Right? I mean, both you need to analyze, right? So you understand what happened, right? Attribution just to judge the efficiency of a department is not right. You can't say that, okay, hey, I want to judge how well marketing is doing because and that's why I'm implementing an attribution engine.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, marketing can do 10 million things, right? I mean, I go to an event, and at that event, I have one real major deal person walking through. He sees a name. And then tomorrow, somebody in his company sees an ad, clicks on that, fills the ad. We go through the RFP process, and this person oh yeah, I remember them. They were on the stage. They talked about AI, ML. Let's talk to them. I mean, you can't attribute that.
Right.
You can't say that, okay, hey, because of my being in that event, I got that deal. Right. I mean, not because of you were at the event. It did play a role. It was a touch point, definitely. But it didn't. I mean, it is a touch point. So, I mean, attribution is understanding the journey of the customer and improving that journey, definitely. And it helps you understand that, basically build your prospect engagement, customer engagement to a very better extent, right? But if if any organization is trying to use it to judge the efficiency of any department, that hey, marketing is doing this based on first touch attribution, last touch attribution, it can be, it's a good thing to take those attribution. It's like signals for you, but using it to judge the complete efficiency of a department, I think those days are gone. I think those days are old and gone, where we didn't have tools to judge the entire. Today we have factors.ai. Today we have a lot of these tools, right? They help us do this.
Right. Okay, so you have been leading Verloop, a product that is geared towards customer support. So with sales support and marketing now working more cohesively, so are you positioning your product in a way to address this, like this alignment, whole sales support and
So Verloop focuses more on the customer support segment part of it. Right. So we look at how can we make, if somebody is coming in for a customer support, right? If some customer, for example, if you are a customer of Nika, right, and you want to basically look at support, how can we make a chat experience for you very seamless and very beautiful? Right? How can we make sure that if you are going to basically ask on chat, hey, why is I want to return, I want to this, it should be very seamless without you wasting a lot of time. Right. So that is what Verloop does. Alignment, customer support, obviously, and that when we are selling the product, when you're talking to the folks, there's a lot of alignment needed across multiple teams.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, for example, let's say customer support request is pending from a trial user, for example, and if sales goes to talk to them even before that part is sorted, then that's a problem. Like maybe with automation, like if you're using Zapier or any other tool, maybe that thing can be synced to the CRM, and so before sales reps go to talk to them, they already know.
So for us internally, it's super important that whatever we do as marketing, we clear the. Obviously, when we are doing marketing, you generate a lot of noise in the market, right? You obviously get leads which are not qualified for you, the sales people to talk to. So marketing has multiple roles to play. A, how do you generate those leads? How do you generate the demand? B, how do you separate those leads which are right now supposed to be nurtured, where you are basically going to make them aware of the demand. How do you basically capture the high intent demand as of now, right? So, and then how do you pass on these high intent to the sales folks? Right. So, all these different tracks obviously require a lot of tools, and yeah.
Right. So, in your long career, you have been quite instrumental in scaling teams as well as, marketing efforts. So what are your, latest learnings in marketing team building?
One is that you should never shy away from hiring somebody who's good at their job. Right. Even if they're 10 times better than you, it's always good to hire people who are 10 times better than you. Right. Never be scared to give more responsibility. I was always scared when I started off managing a team. I was always scared to give more responsibility. I was almost smothering like a parent. Right. I used to be like, okay, what are you doing? Can I help you? I'll help you out. I'll do this, etc., etc. Right. And if there were new projects that were, pushed onto the team, I used to take care of them and, basically make sure that, okay, they're in some sort of shape before I hand it over so that people find it easy. Right. Then I realized I was basically, disabling my team from growing faster. Right. Would I want my career to have been like this? Like, hey, my manager does everything and I just do the toppings on it or just put a little bit, little bit frills here. So, and then, my learnings have been that, hey, trust your team a lot. They might fail, but it's okay. They will learn. And team transcends organization. Right. Today you might be working in company A. Right. Tomorrow you might leave and join company B. Somebody might join company C. Somebody might join company D. Right. The only thing that you can, in that short period of time when you both are in the same space together and working together, the one thing that you can do is basically give them enough responsibilities and enough, trust them enough to basically let them grow fast. Right. And so that they can basically help other people grow fast. Because the ecosystem cannot be, I win and you lose, or I only win when you are, or, when you are not winning. The ecosystem has to be win by taking everyone together. Right. So if I am not able to create the leaders who are going to company B or company C, then what's the point of me being a leader today?
Right.
Then I'm just, then I can just stay at this company. Right. My job as a leader is to create more leaders. so that they can, so that they can also bring new things, right? I don't know everything in the world,
right?
And they might know something which I don't know, right? How do they feel comfortable bringing that thing, right? Only when I trust them and when they feel like, okay, hey, this is how we can bring it on.
Yeah, I think leaders, especially leaders, founders in smaller companies, they struggle with micromanagement. Like I have faced this problem myself. Like sometimes I think that I should do this something myself, or like all those things that maybe I can do this
definitely.
better.
No. So as a young leader, right? I think all of us go through that. They think, okay, hey, I'll get this done. Don't worry. I'll support my team. It comes from a place of good intent, right? But it ends up being slightly harmful for the team in the long run, because then the team starts depending upon you and there is no innovation in the team, right? Most of the innovation, I'm very proud to say that most of the innovation that we've done at Verloop in terms of marketing campaigns has not originated from me as a person. They have originated from the team as a team. We brainstorm, we talk, one idea leads to another and the other idea leads to another, right? So and unless you build your team and unless you let go of that control and let go of that feeling that, okay, hey, I don't know if the team will fail or not, these things won't come up.
Right.
So Siddharth, you also run your own podcast. It's called Reasonably Irrational. Tell us about it and the story behind the name.
I used to run it, and I hope to restart it soon. The idea there is nothing big. It is I've always believed in the power of the teams, right? And while we have exceptional leaders, dynamic leaders, right, and we have a lot of stories around how people create campaigns, people create what were the marketing gimmicks, what are the marketing tips and tricks, right? What are all the bells and whistles of marketing, right? Nobody talks about how to run a team, especially in SaaS and B2B, right? So my aim of the podcast was to understand from young leaders and experienced leaders, how are they running their teams? How do they manage conflicts in their team? The end goal for me from running the podcast was that if somebody is a young leader, they can come, listen to that podcast and go away with actionable points and say, okay, hey, I was going to fall into this trap, but I can basically see, I'm cognizant that, okay, this is going to happen. Right. I realize that, okay, this is going to happen, so I can take preventive action. So, it was all about teamwork and how to manage teams.
Right. And speaking of the community, SaaS community, you have been, one of the co-founders of S11S. So talk about, how, you found yourself into that S11S story.
So, to be very honest, Rohit, Shafiq, me and Chirayu, right? We go a long way back, right? And we used to do I think if you ask all the four of us, we'll say the same thing. We used to do WhatsApp call and we used to you need to vent out, right? So we used to vent out to each other, okay, hey, this is not happening, this is not moving, nothing is moving in the world, blah, 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 right? Then Clubhouse came into the picture, right? They opened up for Android and we were like, okay, it's opened up for Android, let's go. And there was the entire fad, right? So we're like, okay, why not create a room and then let's invite other marketers as well. We want to listen to their stories also. We didn't know it was going to be big. It started off and 130, 140 people came in, and then we started doing it regularly. We realized that there was an audience who wanted, SaaS marketing audience who wanted to talk to it. Then we started doing Zoom sessions, right, where we got in good folks and speakers who wanted to talk about these things a lot, right? So all these things happened, and then but we all had our full-time jobs on the side. This was the thing that we were doing on the side, right? So we were not able to dedicate enough time of it. So we took a break to understand what can we do, right? What should we do, right? And it was a good 2-3 month break. Yeah, we took a good 2-3 months break. We basically evaluated what should we do, what should we not do. We put our targets out there. We did a lot of things. We thought of putting it on Discord. We thought of putting it on Slack. Then we thought, okay, why do a community at all, right? Why not create a Telegram channel?
Right.
Why do a Slack community, right? And then we debated internally. We talked a lot. And then Shafiq and I launched the community. Rohit, Shafiq, and Chirayu and I launched the community in the first half of February, right? And we had very, very small, minuscule targets, and we were thinking of say, okay, hey, 50 daily active users, 40 daily active users, right? And then when we launched the community, people were like, hey, I want to join in, I want to talk, I want to be heard, I want to ask questions, right? And they were like, oh, there is no SaaS marketers community, right? There is marketing community, but
Right.
no SaaS marketers community. Right. And then people, and when people found that, okay, hey, this is a good group of folks who are ready to help each other. Right. And the entire idea of the community comes from the fact that we are all going to make it. Right. And the only way we are going to all make it is by winning with everyone. We cannot let anyone lose. If you are going to do the win-loss situation, then no one's going to win. Right? Everyone's going to lose. So I think everyone's in the SaaS marketing, we are all new. SaaS itself in India is a very small branch of marketing, right? So, if right now people like me, Rohit, Shafiq, Shirayu have been in the ecosystem for the last 6 to 7 years, right? Who have seen SaaS grow up from fledgling to what it is now. If we don't contribute back to the ecosystem, I don't see a way that the ecosystem of SaaS marketers will grow. Then we'll be again stuck with agencies. We'll not be able to make SaaS marketing as a very core output. People talk about having the best of brains from India for tech and different databases, front end, and all this, right? Nobody talks about having the best brains why don't we talk about having the best brains for SaaS marketing, right? And the only way we can do it is by having a good, strong, helpful community. So, that was the entire idea behind starting the community. And I've been lucky enough to have Rohit, Shafiq, and Chirayu by my side to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the story, how we found S11S is kind of funny. So Shubham found Chirayu. He wanted to have him on the show. And when I was looking at his profile, I just found S11S. And then I just joined the community, had a look around. And Shubham also found Shafiq, I think. So after that, we actually had in the show with Shafiq, and now with you. We found Chirayu first, but the episode has not happened yet. It's kind of funny. Like, I think Chirayu one we are doing next week.
Chirayu is a busy man. Yeah, Chirayu is a busy man.
I think we're doing that next week. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, Siddharth, we are going to host Chirayu. Let's say in the next episode. But still, so now you have more than 1,000+ members in the Slack community. Would you like to nominate anyone from the group?
In terms of markups, right? There are a lot of folks. If you look at the markup channels, you have Subhendra, you have this guy. I have this person called. I know this person called Sai Teja, right? A really good person with growth, has worked with a lot of tools, very soft spoken. Monosyllabic answers, right? But superbly intelligent, superbly placed in growth. Right? I wouldn't look beyond him to if he's my living, breathing MarTech vendor analysis. And he knows, okay, if you want to do this is what you want to do. This is a use case, then okay, you can get this tool in. Right? And he'll tell you also where to get this tool in from, what is where to read more about these tools. A brilliant person, right? If you want to talk more about demand generation, and more about marketing as such, Anirudh is there, Abhash is there. I think they're pretty amazing folks.
That's wonderful, and I think that's a very good point to end this conversation. Thank you, Siddharth, once again for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thanks,
It was lovely talking to you.
Same here.
And thanks to our audience for sticking with us. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.